Well, John here today. We're back again with another episode of the Footy. Round 9 is here, and if you're watching on YouTube and you're thinking, who is this imposter? Where is the host, Johnny, gone? Yes, it is me. I have shaved my beard off, which I wanted to avoid doing, but here we are. That's okay. Hope you're doing well. I'm glad that you're here. Like I was saying, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to this, because that really helps us out. It's a free, easy way to help the show grow. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter as well. And you can leave a review on Apple and Spotify as well. Last week was a good week. We missed our 5-leg primetime parlay 3 times by 1. We had 3 5-leg parlays for the primetime games, and we missed all of them by 1 leg. So singles were smashing it. We had a really good weekend for singles. But getting those other ones, it's good to be back in the winning column over the weekend. Had a couple of rough weeks the 2 previous weeks before that. This week should be really, really good. Few really good matchups as well. The Blues playing the D's. Cats and Port tomorrow night in Geelong will also be a great game. And potentially even the Freo and the Swans, potentially. As always, never bet more than you can afford to lose. And help us out there if you need. No shame on leaning on your peers and support crew.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
All right, we'll start with the Thursday night game. By the time you're probably listening or watching this, it'll be, I imagine it might even be Friday, so you might have missed it already. The D's are 3.5-point favourites. The over-under is 163.5. For the Blues, Carroll's still out 3 to 5 weeks with a groin, and Fogarty is still 2 to 4 weeks away with his wrist injury. But Mitch McGovern should be back, and maybe even Jack Martin as well. And they might also get Zach Williams back as well. For the D's, not too many injuries, fortunately for them. Salem is still 1 to 2 weeks away, though. So we'll start with anytime goal scorers. For the D's, we're looking at Christian Petrarca. If you caught the bus ride, which is going to be posted by now, you might have. Christian Petrarca has had 5 shots at goal. 20 shots at goal. He's kicked 5 goals. His conversion rate is awful. You might be thinking, he's not really got his kicking boots on. No, he doesn't. He's had 72 score involvements. And from what I can see, he's 1 behind Isaac Heaney with 73. I mean, he's playing awesome footy at the moment and he's not converting. And I feel like it's got to happen for him eventually, soon. Come on, man. You got to get this show on the road. So I like him, and he's $1.65 as well. Good value for the Thursday night game. Other areas that we might even be looking at as well. For Carlton, it seems like the best value at the moment might be Tom de Koning. He's $1.40. He's 6 goals from 15 shots at goal. He's just, I think he's been kicking in the last couple of weeks as well. They've been moving him up forward, and I guess as an experiment, it has been working, even though the Blues have been losing in those departments as well. The other one, Alex Neil-Bullen for the D's as well, $1.70. He's had 5 goals from 10 shots at goal. So he's a 50-50 conversion rate, which is not too bad. And then the other one, Kay Chandler as well, $1.70. He's had 8 goals from 14 shots at goal as well. On the Blues side for anytime goal scorers, Harry Mackay as well. If you want to get him for 2 goals, it is $1.50. He's 22 goals from 41 shots at goal. So Model quite likes him for 2 goals tonight, even though I do suspect it to be a tough matchup. I am on the D's, I want to say, for this one, although it's hard to say because I can't see the Blues losing so many games in a row. They've only covered the spread once in their last 4 games, whereas the D's are fighting back now. They've covered their spread 5 of the last 6 times. No, 6 of the last 7 even. So they've only failed to cover twice this year. So that's a really good conversion rate for them. Their games lately, the D's, so the first 4 games of the season, they all went over the implied total. And then the next 4 all went under. So defensive game, they're covering. That's usually a pretty good formula. For disposals for the D's, I want to be looking at someone like, Max Gawn. We thought about him last week and he played down a little bit. He was just the 16 disposals, and so he went under his 19.5 implied total. Jake Lever, though, we were on Jake Lever. He was great. 24 disposals. Excellent to see. Even Ed Langdon has kind of popped up in the last couple of weeks. 24 and 21 touches, 17 before that. So if his line is sitting around usually about 15 and a half, not bad value there. And then for the Blues as well, for disposals, these guys can be a bit trickier. Sam Walsh seems to be a gun at the moment. He has not had less than 31 touches in his 4 games back this season, so he's been fantastic. We've been on Blake Acres for weeks now, for weeks and weeks and weeks, and he got 32 touches last week. And the thing about him is he's kind of lost his value now. His over-underline last week was 22.5, so he smashed past it. I think everyone's going to be aware of that, so we're going to have to look somewhere else now to find value. We can't find in George Hewitt. He had 30 touches last week, and his line was 22.5, so fully expect him to go over. Nick Newman has been playing well, though. 32 touches last week, 21 before that, 26 before that, so potentially there. Matthew Kennedy could have a bounce-back game. I had him for 4 touches last week. I guess, did he get injured, perhaps? I think he's going to be playing tonight, so that could also be another really good way to look. We jump now to the Friday night game. It's between Port Adelaide and the Cats at Kardinia Park. Go Cats. Cats are favourite 23.5 for this one. Not too bad. I'm guessing Port have got a couple of injuries and things to worry about, although I imagine Jeremy Finlayson should be back soon. Over-under is 172.5. Anytime goal scorers for the Cats, model really likes Ollie Dempsey at $1.80 to kick a goal. He is 6 goals from 17 shots at goal this season, 43 score involvements. So not too bad there. The other one that it really likes is Brian Myers still. You can get him at $1.70 this week, even. 7 goals from 11 shots at goal from 59 score involvements. So score involvements are there. The shots at goal aren't really there, but I know that he likes to play really, really well at home, and that's exactly what we should see here, thanks to the email, Shazzy. That was me. And then the other one we were looking at as well was... And then the other one we've been looking at for the Cats as well, Brad Close, $1.60, 10 goals from 12 shots at goal. That conversion rate is really high. That usually goes against our process. So I don't know. But then the other one is Tyson Sengel. He's sitting at $1.70 to kick 2 goals. And he's 14 goals from 23 shots at goal. So he's a bit further down the list, but it could be there if you want. If we look to Port Adelaide now, Connor Rozee is still sitting in pole position, $1.55, 7 goals from 16 shots a goal. Might be a bit trickier on the road, though. And then the other two are, Darcy Byrne-Jones is $1.45, and he's 10 goals from 20 shots a goal, so 50-50. Todd Marshall to kick 2 goals. He's had 10 goals in the season from 25, and he has to kick 2 at $1.24. That's actually terrible value. So he has kicked 10 goals from 25 shots at goal, and he's $1.24, which is balls, absolute bullshit, to kick 2 goals. How does that make any sense? I don't know how the books come up with that kind of thing. If you want, I'd actually look at Willie Rioli, who's back now. He's been back for a few weeks. 10 goals from 19 shots at goal at $1.45. It makes way more sense. For disposals for the Cats, well, we were on Cam Guthrie last week, and fair to say that did not work out. After his first game back with 27 touches at the MCG, the last game last week at the MCG, he had 15 touches. So that was a real bummer. Mitch Duncan as well, only the 16 disposals. That didn't get us across the line. But if you've been on Brian Myers every single week, 22 touches last week, and his line is usually sitting around 21.5. So that's really good value. Zach Guthrie has somewhat become a revelation for the Cats. 24 disposals last week, 19 before that, and then 21 before that, 12 and 21. So maybe we could start looking at Zach Guthrie for 20-plus touches. That's crazy to say. I never thought I'd be saying that a few years ago. Jack Bowes, 20-plus touches as well. He had 20 last week. He had 14 before that, but 21, 23, and 23. And he has been playing through the middle as well. Tanner Bruin is probably still going to be injured. He did sustain that shoulder injury as well. So interesting to see how that goes for the Cats. On the Port Adelaide side of things, well, I mean, they've got the key makers in the middle as well. Miles Bergman has been playing pretty well as well. He had 20 touches last week. In fact, the Port Adelaide in general had a bad game against the Crows last week. Zach Butters had 33 touches though, but his line is 27.5. So he's usually good for that. But then the usual suspects, so Jason Horn-Francis, who we were on, and he was a big letdown. He was our one that failed. Willem Drew, 19, and Chase Burgoyne, 13, when they'd all been playing really well. It just wasn't meant to be last week. Dan Houston, 20 touches last week, though, and Ollie Wines had 22, but his line sits around 24.5. In fact, they both do. So, look, there might not be too much value in Dan Houston, but 20-plus touches, I wouldn't mind throwing that in because I think that there's going to be a bit of back and forth in this game, and I think the ball will stay a lot in Geelong's forward half, which is good for Dan Houston at half back line. He usually gets a lot of touches back there. We'll cross now to the next game between the Freo and the Swans in Perth. It is the Swans favoured only 5.5, though, for the top team on the ladder. Over-under is sitting at 154.5, and looks like the weather should be fairly good over there in Perth. We'll start with anytime goal scorers for the Swans, and the ones that I'm really looking at. Chad Warner has been pretty good, it has to say, through the middle of the field. 10 goals from 18 shots at goal and 62 score involvements. And then Tom Papley at $1.20, 12 goals from 25 shots a goal, and he's usually good for one. But above all of them, Isaac Heaney, I think he's moved into favourite for All-Australian. Sorry, not All-Australian. I mean, he'll probably finish All-Australian, but best and fairest as well for the Brownlow. $1.35, he's had 13 goals from 19 shots a goal. So the goal scoring has peeled back a little bit, but it's still there. Logan McDonald, I think you can get him for a goal or two, sitting at around $1.20, 17 goals from 29 shots at goal as well. Could be worth looking at. And then for Freo, Luke Jackson, we've been staying off Ruckman this year, and that has actually been working out really well for us, except for Luke Jackson, who's 8 goals from 15 shots at goal. He's $1.35 to kick a goal. And then the other one is Bailey Banfield. He kicked a goal. We were on him last week. He came through. That was excellent. $1.60 to kick a goal. He's 10 goals from 20 shots a goal, so 50-50. The only thing with the game against Richmond last week, which was a bit of a sweat, is he didn't actually kick his first goal until midway through the fourth quarter. So you do have to sweat it out with Bailey Banfield, even though Freo were all over them in that game. And just another last option, Michael Walters. I thought it was it's either Michael Walters or Michael Frederick is back, and they're sitting around $1.55 to kick a goal, 8 goals from 17 shots at goal there as well. We'll move to disposals for Freo, and we had a few letdowns last week. We were on James Aish, and that did not work out for us. So he has really trailed off in the last couple of weeks. He finished with 19 disposals, and we're on his over-under of 21.5. So 2 short. 1 short of the 20 that we needed. Maybe he starts to bounce back. Maybe I've just got to accept we've got to start looking in some other directions. Week in and week out, Jordan Clark, 24.5 for disposals. He's still going really well. Caleb Sarong, we were on him for 30-plus touches, or at least we were over his 29.5. He finished with 38. We were really happy with that. Hayden Young. I think we should start looking at Hayden Young in defense. 30 touches last week. His line was sitting at 23.5. He had 24 the week before that. He had 21 before that, and 27, 25, 32. So he's been getting heaps and heaps of touches, which we love to see there. There's lots of really good value. Even Jeremy Sharp, to an extent, for 20-plus touches or 15, has been good value as well. There's lots of really good options for Freo in that space. And then same thing stands with the Swans. They've also been really, really favourable for disposals, for kicking goals. Isaac Heaney, 26 disposals last week, was really, really good. We were on Ollie Florent, and he finished with 15 touches. That was such a letdown. Such a letdown. I was disappointed in that. In fact, they all played pretty bad. Justin McInerney, who has been our guy, 18 touches, 19 for Brodie Grundy, 10 for Nick Blakey, who'd been playing really well. But the disposals went to Chad Warner, had a really good game. James Robotham had a good game. Dean Rampy was back from injury, and he had a really good game as well. So maybe we could look at Dean Rampy even in the backfield as well. Next game will be between the Hawks and the Saints. This should be a really good game. Over-under is 159.5, and the Saints are generally only 10.5 point favourites. We'll start with anytime goal scorers for the Hawks, actually. They've started to be a bit more competitive, even during their win last week against the Dogs. Model really likes Jack Gunston for anytime goal scorer at $1.33. He's kicked 4 goals from 16 shots at goal. There's actually going to be a couple of those ones. The model also really likes Mitch Owens from the Saints, $1.30 to kick a goal, because he's had 7 goals from 17 shots a goal. Both those two guys have been kicking really, really badly. So model's like, yeah, they'll kick a goal soon. But they might not. They might not, because the reality is that they just haven't been playing that well. Jack Ginnivan is $1.25 to kick a goal. Man, I got to get used to saying that. 9 goals from 24 shots at goal. And he's usually good for at least 1 a week. Connor McDonald as well has started to come on strong. 7 goals from 15 shots at goal. And he's $1.65 to kick a goal as well there. And then just another couple that I'll throw in. Mateus Philippou, he's $1.80 to kick a goal, and he's had 3 goals from 8 shots a goal, so model likes him to perform. And a sneaky Darcy Wilson, $1.50, 8 goals from 17 shots at goal, so could also look that way as well. We'll cross now over to the disposals market as well. It's getting better for the Hawks, it's got to be said. There was a time at the start of the season where only like 3, 4, maybe 5 players, if they were lucky, were getting 20 plus touches and they were losing games. Now it's more like 5, 6, 7, even 8 players last week had 20 plus touches. So they're starting to get into that winning column, that winning model that we'd like to see. We were on Dylan Moore last week. He had a line of 18.5. He came through in a big way. He kicked a goal, which was awesome to see, and he went over his 18.5 line. He had 24 touches, 25 before that, and 20 before that. So I want to go back to Dylan Moore. I really like his game. I like what he's doing. If I'm going to bet the Hawks, but I don't know. Like I still don't quite believe the Hawks. The Hawks fans love to let me hear it. You let me hear it. I was on North Melbourne when they played North Melbourne. You let me hear it. I was on the Doggies. I thought these guys were just with nothing in them. The Hawks and the fans, they let me hear it again. Please keep letting me hear it. I'm going to keep betting against them, keep telling you about it. I'm allowed to bet against the Hawks. I'm a Geelong supporter. Okay, other one we really like, Finn McGuinness last week as well, 20 plus touches. That was a sort of a standout game for him, so if you can get him at 15, that would be pretty good. Jack Scrimshaw had a down game for him. He had 17 touches last week, so didn't quite get that 20 mark, but it is there as well. And even Jarman Impey had a fairly good game last week. On the Saints side, which is, honestly, it's the direction I'd be looking, even though the Saints have been pretty abysmal, it has to be said. So Mason Wood is back. He had 20 touches last week, which is good to see. So can he repeat with another 20 touches this week? Usually the Saints team as a system, and the Ross Lyons system, is all through the mids and the half-backs. They play out of defense a lot. Marcus Windhager has been fantastic. 25 touches last week. His line has been 20.5. He's at 21, 29, 21. So we're always on Marcus Windhager. He's a great player. Riley Bonner's the other one as well. 24 touches last week. His line was 22.5. Did really well. Bradley Hill had a bounce back game as well last week. From 23.5 was his line. He had 24 as well. So just got over. The books would have loved that one. Jack Sinclair's been playing well. Jack Steele's been playing well. Nasai Wangaleen-Millera is back to form, 29 touches last week, 26 the week before that. So he's back in the winning column as well. Lots of really good options in this game. I'm happy to share. All right, next game is going to be between the Bombers and the Giants. Giants are favored 9.5, and the over-under is 178.5, which is a really high line, especially for the Bombers, who have only gone over their implied total once in the last 6 games. Every other game has gone under, and it's all been sitting around there as well. So see how that goes. But, I mean, it's a bit of a different story for the Giants. They usually go over their implied total. It was a high-scoring game last week against the Swans, and they didn't cover, so this is a good bounce-back spot for the Giants. We'll start with them for anytime goal scorer. Josh Kelly, the model really likes because he's had 10 goals from 15 shots at goal. Probably not really looking that way too much. You know who I am looking at for 2 goals? Toby Green. Bombers' defense is okay, but I think that they can let games get away from them. So Toby Green, 9 goals from 28 shots at goal. One of those games, he had 5 goals. So when he's piling them on, he really piles them on. And this strikes me as a game where he will probably really pile it on as well. And the other one we really like at $1.50 is Brent Daniels. Brent Daniels has really come on in the last couple of weeks. 10 goals from 19 shots a goal. 44 score involvements. He is good for at least 1 goal a week. Same with Aaron Cadman, but the value is not really there, $1.20. There's a bunch of other really good options. Jesse Hogan for 2 goals is $1.27. I think he's the Coleman leader at this point. 24 goals from 38 shots at goal. On the Bombers side, I'm not going to be betting this way. Kyle Langford to kick 2 goals that's $1.47. He's had 20 goals from 34 shots a goal. And the one that I always bet against is Harrison Jones. I just don't really rate Harrison Jones that much as a player. But for him to kick a goal, which he's good at, is $1.25, 8 goals from 14 shots at goal. So Bombers fans, let me hear it over the weekend. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to stick on the Giants, though, for disposals. Finn Callahan, he's still our guy. His line sits around 21.5, and he had 23 last week, 32, 23. The 1 week where we were really on him and really banging the drum for him, he had 18. That was a bummer. But then 21 before that. So he is usually really good value to kick a goal. What am I talking about? For 20-plus touches for his disposals line. Connor Iden for 15-plus touches is a good way to look as well. Lockie Whitfield had a down game last week, just the 19 touches. The Swans were able to shut him down. Harry Hillenberg had 20 touches in the end. Josh Kelly had 20 touches as well, but his lines have been really, really inflated. So you can get some decent unders on Josh Kelly at the moment. And the reason I say unders is because his line has been sitting around 27.5 to 25.5, and he hasn't gone over that since round 4. So maybe some good value on Josh Kelly to go under. As far as disposals go for the Bombers, Nick Martin, he's still playing incredibly well. Model says that he's the most overperforming player this season. He had 32 touches last week, 30 the week before that, 28 before that, and he's still been sitting around sort of like 23 to 25.5 line for his spread. Dyson Heppel had another down game last week, man. We were on him at the start of the season. He was fantastic. He had 27 touches in round 7, but 14 last week. 13 on round 6, round 5, 18. So he's really dropped off. I think his over-under line as well has been sitting around like 20.5. So might have to start going under there as well. Mason Redmond got his 20 plus touches as well. But you know who's actually been playing really well, flying under the radar a little bit, is Xavier Dersma. 22 touches last week, 20 before that, and his line has been 17.5 each week. So like Xavier Dersma, I think we were on him last week, and I think we should stay on him. He's been playing really, really well. All right, next game's going to be between the Tigers and the Western Bulldogs. The over-under is sitting at 167.5, and the Dogs are favourite at 17.5. Dogs games typically go over the implied total, whereas the Tigers games typically go under. So we'll see where this might fall somewhere in the middle, probably why that over-under is sitting in the 160s range. Anytime goal scorers for the Dogs. So we'll start with Tim English has come on strong last couple of weeks. I know we've tried to stay away from betting on Ruckman, but $1.70 to kick a goal. He's 6 goals from 14 shots at goal. And then the other one we like, but we're losing value on him. It's Marcus Bontempelli, 12 goals from 19 shots at goal, but he's sitting at $1.25 now. It was much preferable when we used to be able to get him at $1.65. That was really nice odds. If Riley West is back, I think he was suspended if I'm not mistaken, $1.40 to kick a goal, 8 goals from 14 shots at goal as well. On the Tigers side, there's not a lot, and I'm probably not looking the Tigers' way anyway. Every time I say the Dogs are going to get smashed, they usually come out and prove me wrong, Dogs and Tigers. So Dustin Martin, you can get him to kick a goal at $1.30. And he needs to start performing because he has not got it going yet this season. Liam Baker as well is $1.80 to kick a goal. He has 7 goals from 12 shots at goal. So he plays through the midfield and the defense. So it's a bit more of a long shot, but it's there if you need. A forward, Ryan Mansell, is been sitting around $1.75 to kick a goal. And he's 4 goals from 8 shots at goal, which is kind of weird to see that a forward is getting that much value. As far as disposals go for the Tigers, there's not a lot. One player who has been standing out to us week in and week out is Daniel Rioli. 22 touches last week, 23 the week before that. His over-under line sits at 20.5, and he usually is good to go over that. The lowest game he's had was 19, so he just fell short. But his line back then was 18.5, so he still went over it. The other one we've been on, Liam Baker. He did let us down last week, 18 disposals, but 23, 25 the week before that, prior to that, and from the bye as well. So, but I really like Daniel Rioli. He's kind of like low-key playing really well. And then if you need another one, Nick Vlosten is still doing well, 22 touches last week. For the Dogs, Adam Treloar is back in his high-performance attire because he had 33 touches last week and his line was 30.5. So he went over that. That's awesome to see. Bailey Dale, he's really returned to form as well. 29 touches last week, 30 before that, 39 before that, and his line has been sitting around 24.5, and he's been smashing it. Great to see. Bont had 26 touches last week. He's been a bit down this season. He hasn't been his usual sort of 30 to 35 disposals each week. So you could have got under the last few weeks. I mean, at one point in round 5, his line was 26.5, 27.5, and he was going under those most weeks, except for round 4 where he had 35 touches. Libba was back here, 20 touches last week, and he sustained another ankle injury with blood streaming out of his face last week. So we'll see how that one goes this week. If he's not around, though, you could lean on Jack McRae, 21 touches last week, but his line's been sitting 26.5, so not a lot there. Next one's between North Melbourne and the Gold Coast Suns. This one will be played up at the Gold Coast. The Suns are 43.5-point favourites. Over-under is 169.5. Most North Melbourne games seem to go over, except for last week, where actually, look, last week, pretty much all except for 2 games went under. So we'll see if that bounces back and returns to form here. North Melbourne have not covered the spread since week 1, when their spread was 50.5. Now it's at 43.5. They've failed to cover every single week. And Gold Coast Suns are usually about 50-50. So we'll see what happens. I think they're pretty safe to bet against, especially up at the Gold Coast as well. Anytime goal scorers for the Suns, if he's playing, Bailey Humphrey is $1.50 to kick a goal from the forward. He has only 3 goals on the season, but he's had 11 shots at goal. And against North Melbourne, this could be a good spot. So Model's kind of got a few sort of weird ones. The other one, Nick Holman, is $1.70 to kick a goal from the forward. He's 4 goals from 14 shots at goal on the season. And then the other one is Jack Lukosius at $1.60. Is that for 2 goals? No, that's just for 1, because he's had 4 goals from 11 shots at goal as well. So all those players have not been huge goal scorers for the Suns, but you could look at them this week because of the matchup. If you're going to bet North Melbourne, he's been good for us all season, and he is starting to catch on. Used to be able to get him at $1.65 to kick a goal. I'm talking about Paul Curtis, of course. Now he's down to $1.25. They know about him. He's 14 goals from 27 shots at goal. So it's still there if you need, but it's a bit trickier these days. Disposals for the Suns. So really likes what Sam Flanders has been doing. His line has been sitting around 27.5. He had 30 touches last week. He did have 22 the week before that, but 34, 34, 29, 26. So it has been there for him. And Noah Anderson as well has been playing really well. 23 touches last week. He was down under his 27.5, but 33 before that. And then 36 round 5, 33 round 4. So it is there if you need. Sam Closey, we're watching him closely. He is a new kid on the block, and he hasn't been too bad. 16 touches last week. So you can get him at 15 plus. It might be gone now, but we were talking about him and we've been on him. We're watching him closely. He might be our next new Finn Callahan type, who we've been excited about. Braden Fiorini as well, 23 touches last week. He went over his 19.5 line as well, which is great to see. Tuke Miller. Tuke Miller has not been going over his lines too often this season. So if you feel like betting under, you could do that. The line has been 26.5. He had 25 last week. It's just against North Melbourne. I'm just not sure that I want to be betting those types of unders. We'll cross over to North Melbourne now. And if you're going to need some disposals for these guys, Harry Sheasel had a down game last week, 24 for his standards. He usually sits around 28.5 is his line. Colby McKercher, sorry, that's a different player. Colby McKercher, okay. His line was 18.5 and he had 30 touches last week, 32 the week before that. So He's been playing through the midfield. He's sort of stepped up for them, I guess you could say. George Wardlaw, 22 touches last week, has been good. Luke Davies-Uniacke still getting at least 20 touches each week, but his line is 27.5. So maybe he's sort of starting to think about his future there, like Davies-Uniacke. And then Cam Zerha as well to kick a goal. You could look at him as well. I think he's $1.25, 10 goals from 20 shots a goal there as well. Okay, the Sunday Arvo game is going to be at the MCG. It's between the Pies and the Eagles. The Eagles have started to come on strong. They've covered the spread, their spread, 5 of the last 6 weeks. No, I've said that completely wrong. They've covered 4 of the last 5 weeks. Line here is the Pies are favoured 41.5, and the over-under is 172.5. Most Eagles games, 4 of the last 5 have all gone over. For the Pies, 2 of the last 3 have all gone over, but they are 50-50 in the last 6 weeks. Okay, the Pies, anytime goal scorers. Let's talk about this because this is bloody frustrating. We have been on Nick Dacos to kick a goal for so long, and he was just going weeks and weeks and weeks without doing it. And the model's like, no, trust me, he will soon. He will soon. He will soon. We know he will soon. And then he did. He kicked like 2 goals last week. He was sensational in that win over the Blues, kicking the sealer. That was such a what an amazing moment for him. He's now $1.55 as a result to kick a goal, 6 goals from 11 shots at goal, and I would abandon that. I'm not going to jump on that at all. Lockie Schultz, he's not going to be playing because he smacked a guy across the head. So maybe we'll look at him next week, but he's also good value eventually to kick a goal. Mason Cox, so Ruckman to kick a goal. He has 3 goals from 7 shots a goal. I want to talk about why this is bad value. He's $1.40 to kick a goal, and he's done so the last couple of weeks. But he's only got 3 goals in the season. And we're up to like round 9 now. It's just not really worth your money. If anything, Jamie Elliott to kick 2 goals, $1.42, 14 goals from 25 shots a goal, and they're playing the Eagles, who I know they're more competitive now, but it is still possible to take advantage of them. For the Eagles, Jamie Cripps, $1.20, you can get value, is 10 goals from 24 shots a goal. Don't really love that as much as Jack Petricelli, $1.40 to kick a goal, 7 goals from 18 shots a goal. And if you want a bit more of a long shot, a bit more value as well, Harley Reid, $1.75 to kick a goal. He has 5 goals from 9 shots at goal. For disposals for the Pies, we have been looking mostly, if you've been listening to us, the model has basically identified John Noble as a good value to get 20 plus touches or at least go over his line. And he's been doing that last week, 22 touches. We were on him and he came through. And I think it's a good matchup against the Eagles again this week. So John Noble out of the half back line, playing through the midfield, it is there. It's crazy. Other than that, though, there's actually not a lot for the Pies. Myercheck played really poor. Jeremy Howe has not been playing as well also. Josh Dacos, he had 22 touches last week, and he was able to get that. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. 22 touches last week, but his line was 23.5. Some more value might be like Nick Dacos. He had 32 touches last week, which was great to see. So, yeah, it is a little bit hot and cold with the Pies, but goal scorers should be good. We'll go to the West Coast Eagles now for disposals, and there is a few different options here. Liam Duggan is the player that we've been looking at mostly. 22.5 has been his line, and he had 26 touches last week, and he's still playing really well. So I'm keen to jump back on Liam Duggan, especially since Elliot Yeo, I think he did get injured last week. He only had 13 touches. He was nowhere near his 22.5. Alex Witherden as well had 20 touches last week, but that's sort of his first time this season, so maybe it's worth staying away from that. Tim Kelly had 29 touches, but his line is 26.5, and that's the first time he's gone over in the last 3 weeks. He did do it in round 5 as well, but other than that, he's been really hot and cold. Okay, we'll finish up with the final game of the round. It's going to be between the Crows and the Brisbane Lions. It's going to be played in Adelaide as well. Crows are favourite in this game, minus 6.5. They're coming off that big win against Port Adelaide, so I guess it kind of makes a little bit of sense. But Brisbane also coming off a huge win against the Suns, so we'll see what happens there. Over-under sitting around 168.5, and Brisbane are notorious for going under. They've been playing pretty much exclusively in all unders other than round 0, opening round. Anytime goal scorers for the Lions, Model still likes Lincoln McCarthy. He did injure himself last week. We'll have to see if he's actually even going to be playing. But he had 8 goals from 19 shots a goal and he's about $1.30. One guy I really like, especially if Lincoln McCarthy is not playing, is Cam Rayner. $1.65 to kick a goal. He's had only 5 goals this season. 12 shots a goal though, 36 score involvement. So could be there if you need. Eric Hipwood, if his value is still at $1.30 as well, for 2 goals, it is his 9 goals from 20 shots at goal. So hopefully he can start getting a bit more involved if it is just the one single goal. For the Crows, Josh Rochelle is at $1.30. He's usually been our guy. 9 goals from 20 shots at goal. And for round 9, that's not too bad at all. The other one that it really likes is, so it likes Jordan Dawson, but I'm going to skip over him and I'm going to go to Ben Keys. Ben Keys has been playing through the half forward line a lot and on the wing as well. $1.30 to kick a goal. He's had 12 goals this season from 19 shots at goal. So he's much, much more accurate than the other guys. And he's reasonable value as well, especially if you're going to put him into a some sort of multi or parlay. We'll go with disposals for the Adelaide Crows. Jake Saligo, we've been on him for many, many weeks now, and he's been coming through in a big way. He's had at least 20-plus touches since round 3. Last week, 28 touches against Port Adelaide. I mean, the Crows, you had to be on them to really have your ticket cash last week. His line has been sitting at 24.5, and it's sort of been no problem. He did have 23 in round 7, but 31, 27, 27. So it's there for Jake Saligo, especially now that they have to move a few things around with Rory Laird retiring. Matt Crouch has had a really high line. He's been sitting around 28.5, and he had 28 last week, so he just fell short by just that half, which is brutal speed, especially when they fumble the ball. The other ones that we like, we were sort of a little bit on Mitch Hinge. His line has been 22.5, and he had 25 last week, 16 before that, but then 26, 26, and 24. So he's been going over his over-under line as well most weeks. We'll finish up with the Brisbane Lions, and if you're looking for disposals, Dane Zorko had 40-plus touches last week. So let's stay away from him this week because that's out of control. Hugh McCluggage, 32 touches last week, still doing really well. His line has been sitting around 24.5, and he had 26, 26, 23 before that, so it is there for him. We've been on Jared Berry. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to keep this up, though. 20-plus touches has been great. His line is 20.5, 23, 21, 29, 23, 24. So he is playing really, really well as well. And if I could throw out another couple, look, Darcy Wilmot is starting to play a lot better. His line has been 18.5, and he's been playing pretty well in the half back line. 25 touches last week as well. And Lachie Neale has been a bit hot and cold, but he did have 34 touches last week as well. So could be something there as well for Lachie Neale. That's going to do it. What a show. I think we've been going for like nearly an hour or something like that. Thank you. If you're still watching, if you are, please like and subscribe to this on YouTube. Really helps us out. It's a really free, easy way to help support the show. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok as well. And leave a review on Apple and Spotify. We'll be back soon. We've got our fantasy football rookie draft on Sunday, and I'm going to be doing a show on that as well. So check that out. That's going to be great. Sully and I are going to be talking about his hockey picks as well. They're up to the second round or whatever of the playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs. So there's heaps happening. It's the NFL off-season, but there's still heaps going on. Glad to hear. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the footy this weekend. We'll catch you soon. Goodbye.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.